It began with a sound that had no business on that peaceful suburban street. The sound of Harley engines thundering through the still afternoon air. 4 bikers rode by in formation, their black leathers bearing the blazing emblem of the Hells Angels, their silhouettes elongated on the gold road. Curtains fluttered. Mothers herded children indoors. Even the wind delayed, holding its breath, and above the din, cutting through it all, was a voice, small, quavery, and shattering with innocence. "Sir, will you buy my bike?" The engines died off one by one. On the curb stood a little girl, no older than 6. Her hair was dirty, her shoes scuffed, but her dress was pressed to perfection. The kind of perfection only a mother shows when she has nothing else left. Beside her stood a tiny pink bike with a white basket, and in her small hand a cardboard sign, "For sale." The smallest of the bikers, or perhaps the kindest of hearts, shut down his engine first. The others did, heavy boots clomping like thunder on the blacktop. He knelt down in front of the girl, the chrome of his motorcycle glinting behind her like a mirror image of 2 worlds. Her name was Mira, and her eyes contained something far too intense for a child: exhaustion. Standing behind her, in the shade of a tree, was a wizened older woman bracing herself against the trunk, wrapped in a tattered blanket, pale and thin. The biker's back had the name Ryder, but the brothers called him Wolf. It just never caught on. Beneath the leather and the tattoos was the heart of a man who'd already lost way too much, a father who'd given up, a son who never came home, and a soul who'd almost lost hope for the world. Holding the cardboard sign close to her body, her voice trembled. "Please, sir. Mommy hasn't eaten in 2 days." Ryder stood there in silence for a moment. Something inside him, something long buried, groaned apart. His brothers, Tank, Viper, and Mason, exchanged a look. They knew that look. It wasn't pity, it was rage. The kind that occurs when the strong witness the suffering of the innocent. In stammered words and tears, Mira told them everything. Her mother, Clara, had once worked for a local catering business belonging to affluent Mr. Hensley, a man lionized in magazines and applauded for his charity. But when business was bad, Clara was among the first to be fired. She begged him for a few extra weeks, begging to put food on her child's table. Hensley didn't care. He referred to her as replaceable. Since then, Clara had fallen ill, not healthy enough to find a job. Bills stacked up, the fridge went empty, and pride refused her help. So Mira did what she could, sold her bike. Ryder glared at the little girl, his jaw set. And then, wordlessly, he stuck his hand into his vest, produced a wad of money and tossed it into her trembling hand. "Take the bike, kid," he said softly, his voice tough but kind. But that wasn't the end of the story. For Ryder and his brothers, this was just the beginning. Ryder couldn't ride away, not after watching a child and mother broken by the greed of a man who would never taste the sting of hunger. He remembered Mira's trembling hands and her mother's wasted body. There were some men who could walk away and not remember, but Ryder couldn't. He told Mira to stay close to her mother, promising softly, "I'll be back soon." Then, with a nod to his brothers, the engines roared back to life. The Hells Angels weren't saints. They didn't wear halos, but they had their own brand of justice. And that day, they didn't need fists or fire to deliver it. What they carried instead was truth. They proceeded to Hensley's office, a glassy tower reaching high into the sun of the afternoon, built on the shoulders of people like Clara. When the 4 men walked in, the reflective marble floor trembled beneath their boots. The receptionist was frozen mid-sentence. All eyes watched. And through glass walls, Ryder looked straight at the man himself, the grinning CEO with a gold watch, perfect hair, and fingers too slick ever to have done real work. "What is this?" Hensley scoffed with laughter as they arrived at his office. Ryder didn't say a word. He simply placed something on the CEO's immaculate desk, a small cardboard placard that read, "For sale," the very same one Mira had cradled in her small fists. "That," Ryder announced quietly, his tone low but as sharp as steel, "is what your greed cost." For a moment, the air in the room shifted. Hensley's smile faltered. Ryder told him everything, of the starving kid, the mother stooping down beneath the canopy of a tree, the bike worth more in love than all his possessions put together. The CEO stuttered, attempting to take refuge behind words like policy and business decisions, but every alibi collapsed under the biker's shared indignation. It wasn't the rage of outlaws. It was the wrath of men who had seen too much injustice and would no longer turn their backs on it. Ryder edged closer, his words a soft whisper. "Forgiveness isn't cheap, but you can still do the right thing. No threats. No violence. Just a truth too heavy to ignore." By evening, the town was buzzing. Rumor had it that Mr. Hensley, that same man who used to fire struggling workers, had suddenly made anonymous donations all over the town, groceries brought to starving families, hospital bills wiped away, retired workers hired back quietly. No one understood why, but a few people did. 4 motorcyclists, and a little girl with a pink bicycle. That evening, when the engines returned to that quiet street, Mira came running, her laughter breaking through the still air. Clara was standing now, still weak, but smiling for the first time in weeks. Ryder handed her a loaf of bread and simply said, "You don't owe us a thing. Just promise me you'll never give up." They sat together in the fading sun, the bikers, the mother, and the girl who'd tried to sell her bike out of love. The light grew golden on the chrome, the grass, and the crumpled cardboard sign in Mira's lap. For one moment, one perfect moment, the world wasn't so broken after all. If this tale made your heart feel all warm and fuzzy, if it reminded you that kindness is possible from the most unexpected sources, would you take a moment to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Kindness Corner? Every click brings stories of real kindness to those who need hope the most. And one last thing before you go, what would you have done if you were standing in Ryder's shoes? Because sometimes it only takes one act of courage to persuade the whole world to again have faith in kindness.